I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training, I was driving home. I was actually thinking, regretting it. What have I done? Like I walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Phil is here, the ultimate arbiter of deal or no deal. Phil, how are you?
Very well, yeah.
We've no track record yet because there's been no deals.
No, because we weren't doing it when the Minamino deal went through.
No.
So
that's it so far. This has been a crap transfer window. Come on,
January always is.
Come on.
January's been a
get it together.
Dead rubber for the last 2 years.
For the last few years, but you think back to some of the great Januaries we had. Think
No, don't be spoiling. We're going to do some nostalgia pieces on those. Don't.
Pre-VAR January transfer window was much better.
Right, Manchester United and Manchester City will clash in the League Cup tonight. We know this. Fresh reports also suggest they're set to battle it out for the signature of Tottenham Hotspur's Harry Winks. David Ornstein reports for The Athletic, the 23-year-old who has started 3 of Jose Mourinho's 9 Premier League matches to date, is a target for both clubs. How good is Harry Winks? First question. Second question, should Spurs sell him? And what impact does he make if he goes to Manchester, either Manchester club?
He is a decent player. I think hyped up a little bit because of where he's from. Yeah. Neat and tidy. And
what does he do?
He just tends to hold on to the ball, plays simple passes, keeps things ticking along nicely.
That's what we would have said about Xavi. Is he Xavi? Are you telling me he's the new Xavi? Is that what you're saying? He's the English Xavi?
He wouldn't do it as well as Xavi, but certainly if you're thinking
Joe Allen,
he could be the he's the English Xavi, but he would definitely be more suited to Manchester City because they obviously hold on to the ball a lot better.
Right.
But
maybe that's exactly what Man United wants. You know, somebody who will keep the ball as opposed to not know what to do with it.
I kind of feel though with Harry Winks, he keeps the ball when he's got more options, obviously.
Okay.
And
can he learn his craft beside Fred is the main question.
I mean, who can't?
Is Fred not redeeming himself at the moment?
He's good again?
Is he on the up? He was so low.
Sensational, Tommy says.
He was so low. So the only way was up.
That's the thing.
He's been grand.
The expectations are exactly, but the expectations for was he 50 million, 45 million?
Yeah. So they were high, then they came down rock bottom, and now he's just above rock bottom.
The Athletic also reporting City have a list of 5 players that they're going to try and recruit to shore up their defence, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Uruguayan attacker Edinson Cavani has concluded a pre-contract agreement with Atletico Madrid, who he's set to join from PSG this summer when his contract expires. However, in a twist, L'Equipe report that news of the deal has moved Manchester United and Chelsea to potentially hijack that deal by buying the player before the contract ends, which obviously you can do. English interest could mean Atletico Madrid may either need to buy the attacker or risk losing him if another party puts significant money on the table before he's out of contract, which could be for, I don't know, for PSG, what is significant money? Is it 2 million? Is it 10 million? Is it 20 million? Who knows? What impact would the 32-year-old make in the Premier League?
He'd score a lot of goals. He's always, one thing with Cavani is he misses a lot of chances. Scores a lot of goals, but does miss chances. But people would say the fact that he gets into those positions, if he's playing for a team that creates...
For PSG, for God's sake.
Yeah. So I kind of think
he could play
Cavani,
for City?
Yeah, he'd be...
He couldn't play for Man United, though, because they're not creating enough chances.
No. You think of when he plays in the really, really big games. You know those games where PSG need somebody in the last 16, the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
He's going to miss one.
Cavani doesn't do it for you.
Huge fan of Chelsea's U-turn and all this. All of a sudden the transfer ban is lifted and the faith in Tammy Abraham has suddenly worn thin. It's all fake, kids. We're getting in the old guys.
It's more for backup to Tammy, is it?
Yeah, it is. They're getting rid of Giroud.
He's pressure off him.
He's better than Giroud.
Abraham?
Yeah.
No,
Cavani.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so they'll ship him out to feckless Villa and they'll get Cavani in.
Or will they?
I mean,
or will they?
God, I hope they don't. Nuno Espirito Santo has acknowledged that he could lose Raul Jimenez this month. The Mexican is reported to be close to the top of Manchester United's shopping list. They're also linked with a bid for Wolves' Ruben Neves. What impact would Neves or Jimenez have in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side?
If you were to ask me which one, if they could choose one, Neves.
Right.
That's where they need the biggest improvement is midfield. Because apart from Scott McTominay, they don't really have a midfield.
Why would Wolves sell these players now?
I don't think they will. I think what we will see, what will become a pattern, and already has become a pattern with Deal or No Deal, is Manchester United will get mentioned every day because
Look, Phil,
it's...
Don't be giving away our secrets.
No, it's not.
From their box office.
It's a fairly foolproof plan if you're an agent. Just mention Manchester United and it gets other clubs interested.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if United are interested, we'll have a look. But Wolves are on the up. I honestly didn't think Wolves would have as good a season as they've had because of the Europa League. He tends to pick pretty much the same 11, but Adama Traore has kind of transformed them a little bit. They've given them something extra.
Yeah.
And the fact is, they know what their system is. They're so well drilled that even if they don't have the energy that they have most weeks, they can still get through games. But they still have the odd slip up in them, like losing to Watford.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, well, because they're not a title-winning team, or they're not a top 14.
Not yet, though. But
They're
not far off.
The level of progress they're making, the speed at which they're making progress, suggests that they could easily be one of those clubs who is top 6 fighting for top 4, depending on how the other teams do. As we told you, Manchester United's interest in James Maddison continues, but Sky Sports are reporting what we said last week. The club believe that there's little to no chance that move happens in this window, so we're parking James Maddison for now.
Yeah, this is never going to happen. A January move. James Maddison is in 2 cup competitions. Brendan Rodgers, by the way, hasn't lost a cup game since Liverpool lost that FA Cup semi-final to Aston Villa.
Right.
That's obviously cleaned up the cup competitions in Scotland, into the last 4 of the League Cup, play Villa tomorrow, into the 4th round of the FA Cup. Maddison, no way is he leaving.
Sherwood was the
tactics Tim. Lost the final.
Wow. That's a long time ago. West Ham are keen to bring in Benfica's Portugal midfielder Gedson Fernandes, who has a £102 million release clause in his contract. They won't pay that much. They're trying to do a deal or no deal. Elsewhere, we did mention as well, Darren Randolph is back at West Ham. Is that a good development? Why is there a disconnect between his high approval rating with the Irish fans and his stop-start club career?
Yeah, see, I can't remember Randolph ever having a bad game for Ireland. But when I think of his club career, obviously he was championship keeper of the season last season. He's been injured for a lot of this season, so he hasn't... he played the first 12 games of the season.
Right.
Then he gets injured, comes back in, plays 2 games, injured again. So he would be the number 1 at Borough.
Yeah.
But he's going to be sitting on the bench. There's no way he's getting in ahead of Fabianski. Fabianski's stock went through the roof when he was injured because Roberto was so bad. And then they brought in David Martin, who really shouldn't have been in goal, but because Roberto was so bad, they had to do something, so they brought him in for that Chelsea game. I'd be very surprised if Randolph could displace Fabianski.
I presume it's a good deal from a financial perspective.
Yeah, I don't know what does that do for his international form, but as I said, you can't really question his international form. I honestly can't remember him having a bad game for Ireland.
What kind of contract is he getting at West Ham at this stage to sit on the bench? Is it or to be one of their 2 goalkeepers?
Like he's going to play cup competitions.
60 grand a week?
I'd say.
Is it? Is that what the standard?
I don't think so.
I would say maybe, like, are you talking half that up to 60 maybe? Like, what is Fabianski? Well, Fabianski's probably on around 70, 80. I don't have the figures to hand. Like, it's like we're not talking about Darren Randolph coming from like a crap team here or coming from a bad position.
No, Borough must have been paying him 20 grand a week. No?
Borough, he'd be one of their better paid players, I'd say, because now they've kind of rechanged their model a bit.
Kevin Doyle and Stephen Hunt, they were on like 40 grand a week at Wolves back in the day. So surely you're now at West Ham with all the extra money that's flooded in. You're like, come on, West Ham, look at the stadium. I mean, minimum 40.
And you would have to think that it is probably a financial decision as well. He's well aware that Lucas Fabianski exists. So
he backs himself to beat him.
Also as well, like, no, he's certainly good enough, and he had games for West Ham where he was brilliant. I remember he played in that game at Anfield where he made an unbelievable save. Was it from Jordan Henderson? It was up there for save of the season. He played in the last game at Upton Park as well, that win over Manchester United. And he had certain games where, you could see this lad is a Premier League goalkeeper. But a bit like West Ham, his form was patchy. It was between him and Adrian.
Yeah.
And obviously he got out first when they knew Joe Hart was coming, because he said, if I can get out now, then I won't be sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
But here he is, he's going to be back. Now, he could prove us wrong and get in there, but I'd be surprised.
Wilfred Zaha has joined super agent Pini Zahavi's roster, reigniting speculation that he's desperate to leave Crystal Palace. The Israeli agent has represented the likes of Lewandowski and Carlos Tevez. If he had signed for Arsenal last summer, would he have made a difference?
Maybe.
He'd definitely done better than Nicola Pepe's done so far. It's early days for Pepe.
It is early days, and he's actually.
But Zaha would have.
He's actually had a good week, Nicolas Pepe.
Yeah.
How much is Pepe?
70 million.
Right.
In
They paid over installments, so they haven't paid off Nicolas Pepe just yet.
Most deals are done in installments. You're not told it.
This is super installments.
Right.
Big chunks still yet to pay by all accounts. I would definitely.
Zaha would have been the same price, or 80 million, would he?
Yeah.
Well, they were offering the last formal offer was 40 million.
Yeah, but see, that was the whole thing with Arsenal last summer was
they were just
offering. Only had about 40 or 50 million as a transfer budget. Then they get Pepe for 70, and then you're thinking, okay, they've obviously done some sort of a deal here. But I think Zaha would have made a bigger impact from the start at Arsenal. Whether Pepe, turns it around, maybe Arteta being in there will get the best out of him. But his best form for Lille was playing as a counter-attacker. So Arsenal don't tend to do that as much.
Maybe they're about to become a counter-attacking team because that's all they're able to do, right? They're not going to dominate the
They
session.
couldn't even get the ball back last night.
Did everybody just forget about the Manchester United game last week?
Luka Modric was a Manchester United target last summer. It's reported this morning he could be on his way to DC United. He's expected to earn a salary between $5 and $6 million, according to The Athletic. Should an English club hijack this deal and bring him to the Premier League?
He'd make most teams in the Premier League better, but if you're Luka Modric, you're thinking, I fancy a trip over to MLS, slower pace, this will suit me, and I get a nice paycheck for it.
He could do that anyway. He could have a season at United and then go to...
Yeah, I don't know, to go from Real Madrid to United, where the expectation at Madrid and United is almost the same.
It's not really anymore. It's not anymore, because the Man United fans understand that their team is rubbish. They do.
But they're not a great team at the moment. Whereas if he goes to DC United, no expectation at all.
Fair enough. According to The Sun, we've already done Scott Sinclair, and deal or no deal favourites Inter Milan could be about to disrupt Villa's emergency plans to bring Olivier Giroud to Birmingham to save their season. The Telegraph say the French star could be on his way to San Siro. Newcastle have also been linked with him. That's a good agent. What percentage chance do Aston Villa have of playing Premier League football next season?
You just asked the football question in a transfer market slot here, Ger. Got to recalibrate my thoughts, and I would say an okay chance. The big question around Aston Villa, and thankfully there is no legitimate concern that Jack Grealish will ever leave the club. But as long as you've got a player of his calibre in the side, there's always a chance that you're going to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Now, if they get Olivier Giroud, that's a sort of January to May streak that is ripe for picking. Those sort of players like Papis Demba Cisse, who came into
Christophe Dugarry kept Birmingham up.
Those sort of players who go on the January to May runs, I think Olivier Giroud could be
best striker in the world for 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks, exactly. Olivier Giroud could have an absolutely magnificent 3 weeks at Aston Villa and save their Premier League bacon.
Could he?
Yes.
Could he?
I don't know why he'd go. Would he go to Inter, back to Conte, and say, "Remember you brought me in at Chelsea and then you left, and here I am stranded at Chelsea. Don't do it to me again."
Oof. Not going to do that, is he? Right. Inter maintained their perch at the top of Serie A last night, beating Napoli 3-1 on the road. The Mirror report they've made a 20 million bid of Christian Eriksen, but Conte would prefer to sign Arturo Vidal, who's 32. Arturo Vidal looks 32. Inter chief executive Giuseppe Maratta denies that talks are taking place with Spurs. Should an English club sneak in to try and 20 million for Christian Eriksen, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Spend it.
Absolutely. I have a feeling, though, if a Premier League club comes in, Daniel Levy will say, 20 million? Oh, no, 40 million.
And Christian Eriksen will go, I'm not going. Can he say that? Can he not go? Can he not sign?
Absolutely. He can just sit it out. What he can do is he can sit out on the bench for the rest of the season. Spurs lack creativity, and then Jose has to look at his bench and go, right, Christian, I have to bring you on again.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to score.
OK, we're nearly out of time. Spurs are considering making a loan approach for Atletico Madrid. Thomas Lemar with a 60 million option to buy. Arsenal also linked with the French attacker who's out of favour. Simeone has publicly said his characteristics have always excited me, but he hasn't been able to live up to expectations. Diego, we all feel the same about certain people in our lives. Do you see him making an impact in the Premier League?
Has this not been the exact same story that's done the rounds?
Quicker answers, I said, Owen.
No, because he's not going to go to the Premier League.
Right. No, exactly. Gossip columnist, all-star Adrian Rabiot, remember him from yesterday, could be on his way to Goodison Park. Tutto Sport say Everton have a €30 million bid knocked back, but the interest continues. He's only seen game time on 12 occasions since arriving at Juve in the summer. This is just a cut and paste from yesterday's. When asked about him, Juve manager Richard Sarri said, Rabiot, from a physical point of view, seems okay. He's growing. but always leaves a feeling of having greater potential than what he is expressing. He's on the right path. Could he get Everton on the right path?
No. This is exactly what Everton do not need. Watch them on Sunday, and they've so many players like that who have potential, but they're not putting it in, so don't get Rabiot.
Gurkan Kakir, you know this guy.
Goalkeeper.
He is. Turkey and Trabzonspor goalkeeper, 23. Liverpool want him. Bad news for Kevin Kelleher. Do they need another goalkeeper?
Yeah, they do. Obviously, Alisson got injured earlier this season. Adrian did very well when he replaced him, played well the other day, but it's the third choice keeper that they need.
And in stories that aren't possibly even stories, Gareth Bale could be on the move in this window. According to the Mirror, the MLS is his most likely destination. I don't believe that.
No?
Why would Real Madrid let him go to the MLS?
Look,
they want to get rid of him.
They'll get some money for him.
I still don't understand how Real Madrid have allowed this to happen.
Arsenal should sign him. Everton should sign him. Spurs should sign him.
Check out the golf course in the Maldives.
Exactly, the golf course in the Maldives looks pretty good. Glenn Whelan has today officially left Hearts by mutual agreement. He made 17 appearances during his 4-month spell. The club wishes Glenn well in the future. That didn't go so well.
No, and he was a regular.
Right, where's he going to go? Back to Villa.
Like we need to move the goalpost here. It's not Olivier Giroud who's going to save their season. It's going to be Glenn Whelan.
That's it for Deal or No Deal.